Okay, I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of the Town of Saugeen Shores, and the first item is disclosures of pecuniary interest. I'll ask any member if they have a pecuniary interest with anything on the agenda they'd like to declare. I have one. I have a pecuniary interest with agenda item number 7.3, the dedicated parking near Arlington Street on the municipal shop. The nature of the pecuniary interest is that the owner of 714 Elgin Street is my father-in-law. I will vacate the chair when this matter comes forward, and the deputy mayor will take over. Are there any other ones? Seeing none, there are no additions, deletions, or amendments to the agenda. No public meetings, so that moves us on to adoption of the minutes. And I have a motion moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councillor Schreider, that council adopt the minutes of the council meeting of April 23rd, 2019 as presented. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. And that moves us on to the Committee of the Whole minutes of April 23rd, 2019. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Smith and seconded by the Vice Deputy Mayor that council note and file the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting of April 23, 2019 as presented. Questions or comments to those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. That moves us on to reports of the Committee of the Whole and the public notice report. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Rich, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the public notice report dated April 23, 2019, recommending that the 2019 budget and tax rate be amended to include an additional $165,000 to be transferred to the Legacy Reserve Fund. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. That moves us then on to the General Government Report of April 23rd, 2019, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Schreider, seconded by the Deputy Mayor, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the General Government Report dated April 23, 2019, recommending that the Legacy Reserve Fund be established and designated as a discretionary reserve fund, and that the unfunded capital portion of the Beach House, the extension of the Promenade, and the Lamont Pit purchase projects be funded from the Legacy Reserve Fund. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And that moves us then on to the final report of the Committee of the Whole, which is an Infrastructure and Development Report of April 23rd, 2019. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Grace, seconded by Councillor Mayette, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Infrastructure and Development Report dated April 23, 2019, recommending the following. 1. That Council authorizes that K&L Construction Ontario Incorporated be awarded the contract for the Port Elgin standpipe replacement in the amount of $1,986,341 plus applicable HST, and that the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to sign the necessary tender documents. And 2. That Council of Saugeen Shores support the province's goal to decrease the amount of waste going to landfill, increase the province's overall diversion rate, and reduce greenhouse gases from the waste sector, and that Council directs staff to author a letter indicating such support to be mailed directly to the province, copied to Lisa Thompson, MPP, Huron-Bruce. Questions or comments to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And that moves us then on to report of municipal officers and committees. And I have a motion. The first one is the Striking Committee report of May 13, 2019. And I have a motion moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Schreider, that Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores adopts the Striking Committee report dated May 13, 2019. Questions or comments to the resolution or the report? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. That moves us then on to staff report on the 2019 Sidewalk Construction and Replacement Award, and I have a motion moved by the Vice Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Smith, that Council authorizes that Blue Water Landscaping and Construction Limited be awarded the contract for sidewalk construction and replacement in the amount of $88,911.65 plus applicable HST, and that the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to sign the necessary documents. Questions or comments to the resolution? Councillor Mayette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just when it comes to the portion about the Gustavus Street, the other two, it describes where the actual portion of the sidewalk is going to be replaced, but this one it just says Gustavus Street. So is it the whole of Gustavus Street?
Mr. Mayor, no, when we repaved Gustavus Street, there's one block that wasn't included in the sidewalk down near Bruce Street, so that now block, all of Gustavus will have sidewalk. There's just a piece missing it right now.
Oh, I see, okay.
Further questions to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Moves on to item 3. I have a pecuniary interest in that item. I will vacate the chair.
On to our next item, which is dedicated parking near Arlington Street Municipal Shop. And we have a motion put forward by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Mayette, that Council delegate the authority to execute a lease agreement for the dedicated parking on municipal land to the clerk and deputy mayor. And I'll ask our CEO, David Smith, to give us a little information on this, please.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, sure. So we've been approached by a local property owner that has a lease agreement for one of his vacant properties, and one of the conditions is that he provides parking for the leasee, and he's planning on doing it on his adjacent property. If the adjacent property sells at some point or is not able to be used for the overflow parking, they've requested that the town be that backstop. We believe that it makes sense as a secondary option if and when they're not able to provide parking on that initial property.
Thank you very much. Any questions? We'll start with Councillor Schreider.
Thank you, and through you to the CEO. This is the area where Parks and Rec staff park now outside of their workshop. Is that correct?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, this is anywhere on that property, so we haven't specifically picked a specific spot. Normally, the use does not occur in the summertime, which is when our parking is highest. It may, so we need to be prepared for that.
Okay. Yeah, just being aware that there would be, upward to 20 or 30 staff that report there each day, 7 days a week, so it might pose a problem in the future as well.
Vice Deputy Mayor Myatt.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I did, when I read this last Thursday evening, got the report, I did send a note to our CEO expressing some concern, although albeit I believe it's a great initiative, and we're leasing out some space for a good development, a good commercial development here in town. It's a good opportunity. I did extend my concern about that is a main artery that is used by our high school students from Arlington Street, River Street North, and in that area that use it on a regular basis traveling to high school. And I guess it's a question through you, Deputy Mayor, to our engineer. Amanda, I'm just wondering, River Street North, River Street South on Arlington Street, is there a plan to urbanize that street with parking, with sidewalks, I should say? And I guess I'm just concerned about cars parking there in and out during busy school days. It's going to happen. They're pulling in for their training, potentially, whatever that building is going to be used for. They're pulling in during the same time kids are walking to school. It's going to add a lot of traffic on that street for 4, 5, 6 times per year. So are there provisions for sidewalks in the future on Arlington Street?
To Mr. Deputy Mayor, there would be the ideal to put them on there eventually. I don't know where it falls in the capital plan off my...
I just want to go on record by saying I'm a little concerned about the cars parking there, backing out into walking traffic with kids heading up to the high school. And it's a fairly used section of road right now. They're walking on the road basically, and eventually should be moved on to sidewalk. And if the parking is on Arlington, and that's an if, then I think we just need to be aware that that is a well-used.
Yeah, I just want to comment that that concern is noted. The parking won't operate like a parking lot where people are in and out all day and back and forth, and that type of thing. It's more of, somebody will come in, park, and the car will be there for 8 or 10 hours as they take their training and then leave at the end of the day. So it's not in and out. It's more come in, stay for a long period of time, leave.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And through you, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that we're not necessarily designating the existing infrastructure, which could be a sidewalk or the side of the road, if you will, but there is a possibility to, where a fence currently exists and there's a yard, there's an opportunity to extend what would be a temporary parking lot in that area, or we're not discrediting any of those opportunities. And I do have a follow-up as well.
Yes, through you. We haven't designated any specific spot. Currently, staff drive off the road onto the front of those buildings, so that it's working now. It could work in future as well. And again, I just remind you, this is a backup if it occurs, and we do need to make it happen. The lease will have a 5-year out clause, but we would develop the options more fully. I've looked at the site. I've worked with the parks manager a little bit on this. We've taken over the old Westario property inside. It's full during the off season, during the summer when all of the chairs and all of the equipment gets moved out. There is some additional parking in there. And again, I just want to reiterate that if this was the first option, we wouldn't be recommending it. It's the second option, and quite frankly, hopefully we never have to use it.
Yes, I would just like to commend staff and the business owners as well. This is in line with our regional economic nuclear development plan as I see it, and bringing businesses and opportunities and innovation to our community is exciting for us as we continue to see growth.
Awesome. Any further questions? Then we'll call the question order. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried.
Okay, that moves us on to bylaws, and we have the bylaw resolution here. I guess first I'll ask, do any members wish to draw any of the bylaws out of the resolution for individual consideration? I don't see any. Before I read the bylaw, I might ask the Director of Protective Services. I know where we have 3 appointees to make in the building department under his administration, and a couple of those folks are in the room here tonight. Maybe he'd do us the favor of introducing us to them.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's been a lot of talk about growth tonight. Almost every presentation was growth related, and we are experiencing tremendous growth, or more appropriately, we're facilitating appropriate growth as a strategic goal in our town. But I wanted to introduce you to the people that are really making the physical growth happen, where we're seeing an incredible amount of residential growth in our municipality. We were, at a 10-year average, we were doing about 250 building permits, give or take a year, and that would relate into about 1,200 inspections, 1,200 to 1,500 inspections is what they do. This year we're on track to do 400 permits, and that's 2,000 to 2,500 inspections on more complicated buildings, and these people are really making it happen. And the good news is we're not delaying. We're really working with the building community, and we're getting those inspections done quickly. Our wait times are remarkable, especially for the growth we're seeing. And I wanted to introduce you to 2 of the 3 appointments. Jimmy Bell couldn't be with us tonight, but he'll be back in the office for each of you to meet shortly. First is our Chief Building Official, Josh Plantz, and Jamie Davies, our newest Building Inspector.
Very good, and congratulations to both Josh and Jamie this evening, and we'll read the bylaws, and it is a very active department. I just was walking through the department today, and we have over $30 million in building permits in construction value put out so far in 2019, so that gives you a sense of just the scale of the activity. So good work by all in that department. So I have a motion moved by Councillor Mayette, seconded by Councillor Grace, that the following bylaws are hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 13th day of May 2019. 1. 41, 2019, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 42, 2017 to regulate the keeping of hens in the town of Saugeen Shore. 2. 42, 2019, being a bylaw to appoint Josh Plance as chief building official for the corporation of the town of Saugeen Shores. 3. 43, 2019, being a bylaw to appoint Jamie Bell as Deputy Chief Building Official for the Corporation of the Town of Saugeen Shores. 4. 44, 2019, being a bylaw to appoint Jamie Davies as Building Inspector for the Corporation of the Town of Saugeen Shores. And 5. 45, 2019, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meetings of the Corporation of the Town of Saugeen Shores. Questions or comments to the resolution? The Vice Deputy Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to congratulate these three individuals, and we've got three fine people, running the show with their building department. And look at Jamie Davies, for example. I shouldn't send her out particularly, but there's a whole lot of work that goes into catching up with the training and education, going back to school, and being re-educated, and that's not an easy thing to do. And she's persevered, and I know Jamie Bell has done the same thing. And Josh, congratulations! But congratulations to all staff for just what you've done. It's a lot of work, and you've made it. So good for you. I know there's more to do with education too.
Any further comments or questions to the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Yep, that was the hen. Oh, you really caught him off guard there, Dave. That was good. All right. Then that just moves on to the final motion, moved by Councillor Rich and seconded by Councillor Carr, that this regular council meeting of May 13th, 2019 hereby adjourns at 8:30 p.m. All in favor? That's carried. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.